Have you ever heard of a battle so massive, so decisive, that it ended one era and birthed another? A conflict where the fate of the Roman world hung in the balance, decided not just by soldiers, but by a legendary love affair. Today, we're diving deep into the epic story of the Battle of Actium, a clash of titans that changed history forever. Picture this. It's 31 BC. The Roman Republic is on its last legs, torn apart by decades of civil war. In one corner, we have Octavian, the cool, calculating heir of Julius Caesar. In the other, we have Mark Antony, the charismatic general who has fallen head over heels for the captivating Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra. This isn't just a power struggle. It's a collision of West and East, of duty and desire. So, what led these two former allies to become bitter enemies? After Julius Caesar's assassination, the Roman world was carved up between his successors. Octavian controlled the West, from Rome. Antony took the East, setting up his base in Alexandria, Egypt, with Cleopatra by his side. At first, this arrangement worked. Antony even married Octavian's sister, Octavia, to seal their alliance. But the allure of the East and of Cleopatra proved too strong. Antony began to act less like a Roman general and more like an Eastern king. He and Cleopatra ruled together, lavishly. They had children and declared them rulers of vast territories, some of which were still part of Rome. Back in Rome, Octavian saw his chance. He launched a brilliant propaganda campaign, painting Antony as a man who had abandoned his Roman heritage, bewitched by a foreign queen who wanted to conquer Rome itself. He portrayed himself as the sole defender of Roman traditions and values. The final straw came when Octavian illegally obtained Antony's will and read it aloud to the Roman Senate. The will confirmed everyone's worst fears. Antony wanted to be buried in Alexandria, not Rome, and he was leaving Roman lands to his children with Cleopatra. The Senate was outraged. They stripped Antony of his powers and declared war not on Antony but on Cleopatra. This was a clever move by Octavian, framing the conflict as a foreign war, not another messy Roman civil war. The stage was set for the ultimate showdown. The Ionian Sea, off the western coast of Greece, would be the theater of war. Near the promontory of Actium, both sides gathered their forces. Antony and Cleopatra had a massive fleet, boasting around 500 ships. Many of these were huge Queen Quirene's warships, with 5 banks of oars, like floating fortresses. They were powerful but slow and difficult to maneuver. Their army, around 75,000 infantry and 12,000 cavalry, was camped on the shore nearby. Octavian, on the other hand, had a smaller fleet of about 400 ships. But his ships, mostly Liburnians, were a different breed. They were smaller, lighter, and much more agile. They were designed for speed and maneuverability, not brute force. Octavian's forces were commanded by his brilliant and loyal friend, Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, a military genius who had already proven his skill in previous naval battles. Agrippa's strategy was one of containment. He blockaded Antony's fleet inside the Ambracian Gulf, cutting off their supply lines. For weeks, Antony and Cleopatra's forces were trapped. Food and water grew scarce, and disease began to spread through their camp. Morale plummeted. Many of Antony's men, including some of his best commanders, deserted to Octavian's side. Antony knew he had to act. His plan wasn't to win a decisive victory at sea. It was to break through Agrippa's blockade and escape to Egypt, where he could regroup and continue the fight. On September 2nd, 31 BC, the winds were finally favorable. Antony's fleet sailed out of the Gulf to face Octavian's forces. The battle began. Antony's large ships formed a tight crescent formation, trying to use their size to their advantage. Agrippa, however, refused to engage in close-quarters combat where Antony's bigger ships would have the upper hand. Instead, he ordered his smaller, faster ships to surround Antony's fleet, using hit-and-run tactics. They would dart in, attack with arrows and fire, and then quickly retreat before the larger ships could effectively counter. The battle raged 4 hours under the hot sun. It was a stalemate. Antony's huge ships were difficult to sink, but they were also too slow to catch Agrippa's nimble vessels. Then, the pivotal moment arrived. For reasons still debated by historians, Cleopatra, with her squadron of 60 Egyptian ships, suddenly hoisted her sails and broke away from the main battle. She made a dash for the open sea, heading south towards Egypt. Seeing Cleopatra flee, Antony made a fateful decision. He abandoned his flagship and his men. He boarded a smaller, faster ship and chased after her, leaving his entire fleet and army behind. It was a shocking act. The commander-in-chief had deserted his post in the middle of a battle. With their leaders gone, the morale of Antony's remaining forces shattered completely. Confusion and despair spread through the fleet. Some ships followed Antony's lead and tried to escape. Others fought on bravely but were outmaneuvered and overwhelmed. Many simply surrendered. By the end of the day, Agrippa's forces had won a total victory. One by one, Antony's massive warships were captured or sunk. A week later, his land army, leaderless and without hope, surrendered to Octavian without a fight. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Octavian was now the undisputed master of the Roman world. He pursued Antony and Cleopatra to Egypt. When Octavian's forces arrived in Alexandria the following year, Antony, hearing a false report that Cleopatra had taken her own life, fell on his sword. The report was untrue, and he died in Cleopatra's arms. Cleopatra, now a captive, knew her fate was sealed. She had no intention of being paraded through the streets of Rome in Octavian's victory procession. According to the famous legend, she arranged to have a venomous snake, an asp, smuggled to her in a basket of figs. She allowed it to bite her, ending the lineage of the pharaohs and the independence of Egypt. With his rivals gone, Octavian returned to Rome a hero. He skillfully managed the transition from a crumbling republic to a stable empire. He took the title Augustus, meaning the revered one, and became the first Roman emperor. His reign, known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, ushered in an unprecedented era of stability, prosperity, and cultural achievement that lasted for over 2 centuries. The Battle of Actium wasn't just another military victory. It was the closing chapter of the Roman Republic and the first page of the Roman Empire. It was a story of ambition, love, betrayal, and the clash of cultures. It demonstrated the strategic genius of Agrippa and the political savvy of Octavian, and it sealed the tragic fate of 2 of history's most famous lovers, Mark Antony and Cleopatra. The world we know today was profoundly shaped by the events that unfolded on that single day in the Ionian Sea. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey back in time as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the most epic moments in history. See you in the next video.